Yes. Good day. Welcome. Are you ready, willing, and able to allow yourself to receive new information and new energy that might help elevate your life? Are you ready? Let's go. You're listening to the Mood and the Groove music. This is a part of the Medicine Music Collective Special Edition project. Something I created and channeled. It's available right now at elevationtime.com. Also, this is the soundtrack for the book, part of the soundtrack for the book, What's Eating You. So for those of you who would like to have 7 hours of medicine music like this that takes you to other spaces, mentally, physically, emotionally, and vibrationally, it's available now at elevationtime.com. And if you'd like the whole project, don't buy it now, because in a little bit I'll be giving out a discount code so that you can receive 15% off of everything at the Elevation Time website. This track is called You, AEIOU. Close your eyes and vibe and feel the groove, feel the move. Feel the frequencies of love, peace, and harmony. In 1999, a friend of mine, Akadama Jackson, and I created a project called Urban Shaman. We were both herbalists and we were both musicians, so we decided to make something and call it medicine music. That project is classic. It's called Urban Shaman, Keys to the Inner Sanctum. You can find it, but it's a little challenging out there right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to be putting it out and re-releasing it again soon. So be looking out for that. But that started the medicine music, that started the whole movement of creating not just music that just sounded like angelic, but music that had a groove, music that would take you somewhere, had more of a soul, earth vibration. And that's what this is. And this is a part of the newest versions of the Medicine Music Collective project, available at elevationtime.com. We play this music because it takes us into a space, a place, a world within worlds, inside the inner sanctum of our minds. Yes. Full orchestration. Full orchestration. Music that moves, but also is tuned to those sacred frequencies, 428. We also use the frequency of 444 and 417. These frequencies that actually change our makeup, our molecular structure, and vibrates deep down into our mitochondria. If you're here for the first time, let us know you're here for the first time. Let us know how you heard about this session or how you heard about Dr. B or elevationtime.com. If you've been here before and you're a reoccurring visitor, then let us know how you heard about it. And also let us know where you're coming from, where you are. You know, I'm looking at the stats and the analytics lately, and I see we have people from all over the world who are, you know, tapping into this new information. So let us know where you're coming from, where you're going. What is your desire? What is your goal? Who are you? It's all about you and what you can do to help others. Yes, those are real instruments right there. That is not artificial at all. That's analog intelligence. Yes, 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 yes. Whew, it's nothing like a good move, a good groove. Yes, we have so many people online. There are teachers, there are seekers, ministers, healers, nurses, nurturers, all open at this particular time for change. This is a very special time to be here on what they call planet Earth or Gaia or the third rock from the sun. Wow, there is so much happening in very short periods of time. You know, it seems like time is speeding up. How many of you feel that? It's like things are happening fast, and you think about somebody and boom, all of a sudden, you know, it just pops in. And you think about a person and they call. You think about an event or seeing something and it appears. Yes. This is a time where time itself is changing. Time itself is only a half of a statement. Time has to be connected to its opposite, which is emit. When you take time, the word, spell it backwards, you get emit. What are you doing with your time? And that's how time shows up for us as our own personal perspective, because you ever notice when you're involved in something that you really, you don't desire, you have no way, and desire this thing that you're involved in. It seems like it's forever. It lasts forever and ever. And, You could be doing something you really enjoy and time passes quickly. Time is based on your perspective. I'd like to tell a little story about time. And before I do it, I'd like to introduce myself to those who may not have heard of this being they call Dr. B, because, you don't want to, it's best not to assume everybody knows about what you're doing and how you feel and what you think, because nobody really knows nobody. Is that deep? Nobody really knows nobody. You think you know people, but you only know the version of them that shows up while you are observing. And when you look away, they change. In fact, everything in nature is only there when you're observing it. That is one of the laws of quantum physics. What are you observing with your time? What are you being? How do you express yourself? Are you realizing that you are in control of so many things? Have you really thought about the actual power and control that we hold? Or are we looking more at the problems and who controls us and what controls us? When we focus on the things that we can or do have the power to change, that circle of knowledge expands. When we focus on what we cannot control, then that sphere, that cipher expands. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. But they call me Dr. B, Dr. B Sirius. And my journey started as a child. I remember my very first memory is handing my mother clothespins as she puts the clothes on the line to dry. And I just thought that was just such an amazing thing, that there was this wheel that squeaked, when she put the clothes out. It made this sound, and then the gentle wind would come and blow through the clothes, and the clothes, or especially the sheets. I used to love watching the sheets blow in the wind. That's my first memory, is watching the sheets blow in the wind as my mother put the clothes out on the line to dry. And even as a little child, I remember, I used to hear so much about what was going on in the world because, the news was on constantly back in those days. And I talk about this in the book, What's Eating You. But I found that the thing that soothed my soul was banging on things. I used to get the pots and the pans, cardboard boxes and things, and put them in a circle on the floor. And I'd be playing them with pencils and pens. And one of my favorite things to hit the pans with was a spoon. I'm not a spoon, a butter knife. Butter knife had the perfect vibration. It's a special thing when you hit certain pots. And I realized that certain pots, certain pans, certain sizes, certain glasses, certain dishes, when you hit them, they made different sounds. And I realized when I was in that realm, just tapping on those things, it put me in a space of focus. And it seemed like that was a place where I had some control. It took me away from focusing on the world that seemed so deep in the 60s, where, it was so much going on. The war and Walter Cronkite on the news, and, the drugs in the streets and the heroin and people coming back from the war, who were damaged forever. And the conversation was all about how bad it was and how tough it was. I just wanted to get back down there and bang on those pots and pans. And even in the bed, and, or when I was doing homework, I had a pencil, and I realized that the pencils, I could bang on my books. And music and vibration was something that I felt that it soothed my soul, but it was something that I could create focus and move towards a goal. And my goal was to one day be a drummer. And after staying with that, no matter what, I did become a percussionist. And actually I became a percussion teacher at a very young age and began to teach percussion at the age of 16. I went to this this center in the town that I'm from. It was called the Artist Collective, and it was a institute, like a jazz institute in the city for the what they call the inner city youth to keep them out of trouble, where you could go study music and play instruments. And it was owned by a famous musician by the name of Jackie McLean. If you look him up, Jackie McLean was a saxophonist and a conductor who worked with Miles Davis and a whole lot of other people at the time. And I was always going there looking for teachers, and I met a couple teachers, but they would be only one lesson and then they would disappear. So one day I was sitting in this room playing my drum, waiting for a teacher. And that was the day I met Jackie McLean. And he comes in and he says, "Hey man, how's it going?" I says, "Going good." He says, "What are you doing?" I says, "I'm waiting for a teacher." He says, "You waiting for a teacher?" I said, "Yeah, there was a couple teachers that came and they left. That was like months ago." He says, "Oh, well, guess you're the teacher then." I says, "What do you mean I'm the teacher?" And basically he says, "Listen, to be a great student, you have to be a teacher. And to be a great teacher, you have to be a student. So since there is no teacher here, you're going to have to become the teacher." I'm like, I don't have enough knowledge. He says, "Well, everybody has knowledge. If you allow knowledge to flow through you, it will come. You have to ask. And those beings that basically are, channeling that knowledge will come to you." He says, "Come here." He says, "Look out the window." We look out the window, and across the street, there are these guys playing basketball. And they're playing ball. And he says, "You see those guys?" He says, "They're into the ball. They're watching the ball. They're listening to the rhythm. Listen to the rhythm of the feet and the sounds they make. That's music. In fact, you should take your drum and go across the street and play. And some of them are going to ask you about what you're playing and how you're doing, what you're doing. They're going to be very inquisitive. And you can say, 'Hey, why don't you come across the street and let's play together?'" And that's exactly what I did. And within about a week, I had about 10 basketball players or youth from the community coming into the class to play. And what was I teaching them? I was only teaching them what I was learning. And within a short time, I had a class of over 40 students who wanted to learn to play, and they were learning whatever I was learning. So whatever I was learning, I would take it to class. And that's how I got started in the world of teaching. But I come from a long line of teachers, and sharing information was always been something my family has been about. And the story that I'm telling is your story, because all of us are like this. We're teachers and students at the same time. Sometimes we're looking for the prophet, and we're looking for the alchemist, and we meet the alchemist or the prophet or the teacher, and that person is you. It is you. Sometimes you're only teaching the cells in your body, right? It's a school. The body is a school. It's a place where things are always changing and growing. We're always learning. We must be open for new information. Dr. B has been a musician most of his life. And a couple things happened where he became a record producer, an engineer, mastering engineer, mixer, editor, remixer, composer, writer. I just kept pushing because that music, that sound, that rhythm, studying and focusing on something that I could control, it began to expand, and I became very successful in the music industry, which led me to natural health. Because as a successful music producer, the food that I chose was fast food or takeout. The people that I were around, the conversations were all about competition. The language is always judgmental about other people. The industry itself was like a conveyor belt where people would go in on one side and be one person and come out on the other and be someone else. And I realized that the music industry was being controlled by a group of beings that I felt were aliens. And I talk about this in the book. These beings, the soul catchers. Because music is medicine. Music is sound. Music is what we stand on. It is nutrition. What you hear in your ears is food to the ears. And I realized that after being in the entertainment industry, that it was about entertainment and programming people to think a certain way, feel a certain way, all in within dancing and moving and all that. Sometimes you're involved in something that you don't realize that it isn't what you think it is. And I, being a researcher and a teacher, realized that the industry that I was in was about devouring people, eating people. And it was controlled by beings that were off-world beings. And the sound was off. The frequencies were off. Even though we agreed to it and said, yes, this is a great song, the way it was tuned was off. The royalties that they were giving us was, what is a point? You received a point, not a percentage, a point. So we received technically about 0.0003% of the music we made. So these companies were like using us. And we allowed it. We allowed it because even the little bit that we got was a lot more than what we had. So I'm not here to bash the industry. I'm here to say that there was the music industry that got me to shift into holistic health. Because I realized the rhythms that we were creating and the sounds that we're creating were basically being controlled. The lyrics, who chose what song, what was on the chart. They used to pay to get records to make them a hit. You figure people really liked it. People were choosing it. People weren't calling the radio station to say, I like a song. Not really. It was power and control. And I realized that it was the drug companies, pharmaceutical companies, and the prison industrial complexes, and, certain advertisers and, government entities that were controlling not only what we were listening to, what we were eating, how we danced, what we liked. I realized that this was a farm. And it wasn't about the free, loving vibration that we were creating. Something was creating us. And this was another level of oppression. But I became really ill and left the music industry and studied everything I could about natural health. The doctor said they couldn't help me. So I realized I had to help myself. I had to teach myself. I had to become a teacher again and teach my body and every cell how to change its vibration, because I had an autoimmune system, challenge that my body was destroying itself. And it was that I was involved in an industry that basically eats everybody alive. We're being eaten, we're being consumed, and we're consumers. So after years of study, I began to listen to the plants, and I realized they made sounds. Just like the drums and the pots and the pans. If you listen carefully, the plants are talking. The trees, the flowers. There's a sacred language in the secret life of plants. Check out that documentary, The Secret Life of Plants. In fact, Stevie Wonder, who did the soundtrack on certain songs, he's actually playing with plants, where they hooked plants up with electrodes to these synthesizers. And the plants play. They make music. Yes, Secret Life of Plants is powerful. And he made an album called The Secret Life of Plants. And there is these sounds that you hear, and they're really weird. You never heard anything like them. It's the plants accompanying Stevie Wonder. So the plants have a secret life, but it's only secret to us because we just may not see it. But we're plants too. We receive, yes, it's called Plant Wave. Yes, you can actually buy these devices now, the Plant Wave devices. And we use them to create some of the sounds in the medicine music. We use plants. So when you realize that everything is being created based on vibrations, this is the great awakening. When you realize that everything is sound, everything is vibration, everything is frequency. Frequency means it's just basically describing how frequently something happens. Something that happens over and over is frequent. The more it happens, then it has a higher frequency. The less it happens, it has a lower frequency. Now we got to be careful because I know we get into this low frequency is bad and high frequency is good. That is a perception that was given to us. Because there's disagreeable things that have a high frequency. In fact, the people that are seemingly controlling the world have a very high frequency. Those commercials that are selling you trash, they come around with a special frequency every 7-8 minutes. Every 21 minutes, there's these cycles, 21, 7, 14. Once you understand those cycles per minute, cycles per hour, cycles per day, cycles per day, cycles per year, cycles, then you realize that high is not necessarily good and low is not necessarily bad. Positive is not necessarily good and negative is not necessarily bad. Those are words that we use sometimes out of context because we haven't studied the frequency of language, the tone of words. So I was named Dr. B Sirius right around the name of year 1996. Before that, I was just known as Dr. B. But then something happened, and I talk about that in the book, where I was given the name Dr. B Sirius based on some events that happened in the Bermuda Triangle that changed the music of my life. That's when I began to awaken to a different reality. If you're here for the first time, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome. Is it okay if I talk about some things you may not have thought about before, you may have never heard? Is that okay? It's sometimes best to ask for permission before we just, blurt out a bunch of things. Some folks don't want to hear this. If you're not ready to open, then this may not be something for you. Not everything is for everybody. We're not trying to force anybody to follow. Even though I would like you to like, it would be great. Hit that like button over there and subscribe. That would be great. And also go to elevationtime.com and get on the email list. But we're looking to help build leaders and not just followers. Help teachers teach. A lot of us are teachers. I didn't know I was a teacher. I didn't know I wasn't trying to be a teacher, but I had to teach my body to heal. Just like when I was working with the drummers, I had to teach what I was learning. You don't have to be all the way there and complete to teach. You don't have to be all the way healed to help others heal. In fact, most of us who are in the world of helping others, introducing wellness to the world, are going through wellness cycles ourselves. Mentally, physically, spiritually, energetically, we're all moving and growing and expanding. Is it okay that I share some information that may upset you? Some folks get pissed off, man. They're like, Dr. B, I didn't like what you said. I don't agree with it. That's okay. We're all not in agreement because even scientists, most of them don't agree. You think that all science is all agreements. I learned when I was teaching at UCLA that basically all scientists are based on, they're living and looking at things in their perspective based on what they know. based on theories and theorems and concepts and beliefs. Taking a little focus right now so I can stay clear because we're about to launch a huge rocket. Yeah, let's focus. Focus helps you focus. It's one of the products that, came through me that I realized that a lot of us, we seek mental clarity and we need to enhance our brains so we don't stay stuck. Wow. Is it okay if we have a little fun today? Is that all right? We're always learning, and each day we awaken from a sleep. We go through cycles of awake and sleep. We go through these rhythms and these sounds and these tones and these frequencies. It's all music. And nobody has it together 100%. There is no perfection. No one knows for sure. But we all have little pieces of the whole. Each day, we open our eyes. And for the first few, some of us minutes, especially with seconds for sure, we're not even sure who we are. We're not sure if we're a person, a ladybug. We don't know anything because we have to gather ourselves. Everything begins to come online. And the pieces of us that are scattered through the universe collect as rays of light into our body, because our body is just it's a projector, it's a suit. This body is a temporary vehicle we use in this dimension, in this atmosphere. But the information that's coming to us is coming from the galaxy as light. As light. Light is music. Music is light. Everything is made of light. The food that we eat is made of light. Different frequencies of light. And the light that we see is what we call human beings is a very small spectrum of the light of the world, the light of the universe. We may only see maybe, and I'm being very conservative here, maybe 10% of what is actually happening. What you see based on an electromagnetic system is a small slice. What you think you know is a small slice. What you're hearing, what you're feeling is not everything. Man's ego thinks that, he knows and he controls and he's in charge and we know what's best. Our experience is just a small grain of sand at the gigantic beach. Imagine the beach. We are one grain of sand having one special experience to add to the whole. Light is very interesting. So the light shines And plants pick up that light and turn that light into energy. I think that's photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. Then animals and insects eat the plants. The plant is made of light. The plant is also pulling carbon and other things out of the atmosphere to create its body. So the plant can turn light into energy, into electricity. Plants are living beings. They have consciousness. They move. You probably say, Dr. B, come on now. Plants are not alive. Well, how are they living? They're consciously alive. We cannot pick that frequency up. We can't hear them. Well, some of us are not able to. I hear plants, and that's how I choose, in the formulations that I create. I hear the rhythm, the drums in the plants, and they all have different frequencies, and some of them are toxic, and they have a certain rhythm and a certain feel and a certain energy that lets you know that this is something for you or something that is not for you. That light, that sound that's coming from the sun and other stars, but mostly the sun, because that's our closest. That's what we call our mother. She is feeding that light to the plants, and the plants and the animals are eating the plants. Then there's animals that eat animals. They're eating the light that those animals ate when they ate plants. The largest animals, some of those huge whales, all they do is eat plankton, which is light. Plant beings, light beings. We are photovoltaic. We take light and we turn it into energy. We are light bodies. Everything is different densities, different frequencies, different rhythms, different expressions of light. But the way light hits the earth changes. The way light hits a person, it changes over time. Like right now, in the last few weeks, we've been getting these solar flares, which are really huge. And these solar flares is when the sun it's like erupting these plasma. And they say the sun is on fire, but how could that be if there's no oxygen in space? So it's a plasma. It's something that we can theorize, but we don't truly understand or overstand or understand the sun. But the sun is giving us life, and life is light. When you begin to really look at everything and you stand outside, what I call exo-standing, and just observe things, you begin to see something. There's patterns, colors, rhythms. There's things that seem to happen to come around in certain rhythms, certain frequencies. Because we're going through space. We're traveling through space. And we're in a place in space right now that we've never been before. Our planet, our solar system, our sun, which is all of it is moving through space. It's a spiral galaxy. Everything is spiraling. The earth is spiraling around the sun. The moon is spiraling around the earth. The sun is spiraling around Sirius. Sirius, they say, is spiraling around Vega, and Vega is spiraling around Lyra. the word, the sound, the center. It's a spiritual. So I had a great awakening when I realized that spirituality, the word that we use so loosely, is a really deep concept. Many people feel like spirituality is you have a book that you read that's your book, and that's the words in there are very spiritual. And there's thousands and thousands of belief systems that all say that they're spiritual and they have the one or the way. People wear certain clothing. Like some people call it spirit. These are my spiritual clothes. Like those clothes, they connect you to the creator. You're closer to the creator or the angels or the spirits or the ancestors by wearing those clothes. And if you believe that, then it is true for you. Now, don't force that on me and say that that's the way it is and this is the way it has to be. It doesn't have to be that way for me because the light and the combination of frequencies and sounds that has created Dr. B is totally unique. Each one of us is totally unique. What we do, how we eat, where we go, what we like, what we dislike is totally unique. So if you force me into your version of belief, your version of knowledge, your version of being, your version of spirituality, then I'm a follower. And that's okay because, between the ages of birth and about 7 or 8 years old, we're basically followers. We're mimicking our parents and our environment. Our genes are formed based on the environment. It's called epigenetics. So all of our beliefs and everything, they come from the family or whoever we grew up around or whatever we solidified and made solid certain beliefs, certain ways. And to believe means to follow blindly. It's a belie. Look at the dictionary, look up the etymology. It's to follow. And that's all we knew. And that's all we knew. That's all we knew. So we do what we knew, what we know. We go along with what they say. But then you get to a point many times where you have an awakening. And you wake up, 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 wake up. Some happens early in life, some happens older, later in life. But usually there is an awakening that happens either from us, to us, or by us, where all of a sudden the light comes on. You see in the old cartoons, they would get an idea and the light bulb would be above the head. When I realized what spirituality meant to me, everything changed. And I was open because I was not caught too deeply into any of the belief systems they were trying to force on me as I grew up. I always look at the holes in it. I look at the concepts and say, y'all saying one thing, but you're doing another, and you're doing one thing and you're saying another. And I don't know, there's a lot of contradictions in these belief systems. And I don't know if wearing these spiritual clothes and ringing these spiritual bells and, burning these spiritual incense is really it. Once I found out what spirituality was for me, the word spiritual has its roots in spiral. Spiral. A spiral is a shape that touches everything. A spiral is the only shape that touches everything. The spiral starts at a certain place and gradually expands and expresses itself differently all the time. It's spiraling, it's growing, it's expanding. So as you see, there's the spiral on the left, there's a spiral on the right. The spiral on the right looks like a spring. A spring is a spiral as long as it's constantly expanding or contracting, because there is also a contracting spiral if you just go the opposite way. One is expanding and expanding and expanding. The other one is contracting and contracting and contracting. Spirituality. A spiral is a shape that can touch everything. If you start at one place and you start drawing a spiral in a room, you could touch everything in the room, especially if you start doing it in 3 dimensions. To be spiritual, to me, was not about how much I knew, how much I studied, and how much I prayed, how much I begged. It was about how much I could learn and grow and experience. This is it, y'all. To be spiritual means to be in constant movement, either expanding and expressing or contracting. You could be doing both at the same time. This means that to be truly spiritual means that we're in a constant state of change. So yes, I used to use a singing bowl and I used to use sage. If you're still using the same thing, if you're still reading the same book, the same, saying the same prayer, begging for the same stuff, and nothing is changing, it's because change happens by expanding and growing. Spirituality is about expanding. It's like the tree I'm looking at outside. The leaves and the limbs are not in the same place they were last year. The trees are constantly expanding and expressing in different ways. Our genes are all about expressing in different ways. They're not stuck. Your genes, they're not keeping you stuck with certain illnesses or certain things that you got passed down by your parents. Your beliefs, your feelings, your emotions, our words is what we got stuck in us, on us, with us. The great awakening is when you realized that what you've been doing over and over is not really doing anything. When you realize that having a begging prayer where you've been begging and begging, and your people and your family and your ancestors have been begging, and nothing has changed. You keep saying, no, we just have to have the faith. Faith is feel as if the thing has happened. Iana Van Zandt. Faith, feel as if the thing has happened. That means that whatever we're asking for, we have to act and feel as if we have it already and be grateful in advance. When we are grateful in advance and we feel and embody the feeling of being at the place and thinking from the desired goal, everything changes. That's when we wake up. When we realize that we have the magic slippers on and we must click them together 3 times. There's no place like home, no place like home, no place like home. We are realizing that home is within us, and we begin to now send light back to the maker. When you begin to realize that you have this iridescent, this luminescent glow within you, inside your body, what they call the solar plexus is a sun within, and every cell has light inside of it. The body is emanating light. We have this light coming from us called photons. If you're acting constantly like you don't have anything and you're talking about the problems as if they are solid, and if you're always complaining and gossiping and pointing the fingers at others and thinking that everybody is the enemy, that means that you are the enemy of yourself. And you must learn a new rhythm, bang a new drum, have a new sound, play a new song, grab a new instrument, become an architect, and build a new life, build a new you. Tap into the part of you that may be dormant. Push past the envelope. Push past the oppression, the mindset that you were a slave. Because now you have put yourself in self-slavery if you're stuck there. If we keep talking about what happened to our ancestors and how bad it is, then we begin to look up to ancestors. Ancestors are automatic negative thoughts. How bad it was. Don't tell me that my ancestors died for me for the right for me to vote. Where you get this from? Why would you tell me some shit like that? They wanted to be a part of a system that enslaved them? Did they even know? Why did your parents tell you these stories about Santa Claus? This dude on a sleigh carrying toys, and you got to leave food out for him. He's going to come down the chimney. There is a real Christmas story that is the symbols, and it's an analogy for something that's really deep. Once you understand Santa, sacred, Klaus is a part of your brain that the Santa oil drips on at a certain time of the year. But to convince the child that this dude who don't look like him is going to come and bring them gifts if they just be good. He sees you if you're good or bad. So be good for goodness sake. You better watch out. Didn't they tell you that? You better not shout. Whoa. I better watch out for what? Because this is a story that is twisted. The tooth fairy is going to come through the wall and get your teeth and leave money under your pillow. Your parents, our parents, ushered us in to stories that were basically stories that were based in myth. analogies. They weren't actual. So all the parents had to do was tell us, well, actually, this is just a story. We got to go buy this stuff for Christmas. Actually, we're going to put some money under the bed for your teeth, and then we're going to throw them in the trash or whatever we're going to do with them. Tell the truth. But we're born into a society of followers who are following the ways that were given to them, and we begin to solidify things that might be liquid and fluid, and this is just supposed to make us happy. I remember sitting in church, looking around. I was like, as a child, what the heck is going on? Then we go to a different church, and it was different there. And then we go to a third church, and it was even different there, the way they talked. And I looked at the pictures of heaven, and I saw these little pink cherubs, these little children with wings. That's heaven. Nobody looked like me. There was no drums, no music, no guitar, no bass, no keyboard. But I was coming online. I was awakening, even as a child. Some of you knew it too, but we're afraid sometimes to buck the system. Fear. Now, as a child, you got to be quiet. You just can't break out with all this because they'll put you in a mental institution. They'll say you're ADD and DDA. Like with me, I had all of that stuff as a child because all I wanted to do was play the drums. I didn't care what they were teaching. They were telling me things in school that didn't make any sense. The history just seemed like it was written by the winners of the war. It wasn't written by the losers. The language was funny. The words would move around on the page. They said he was dyslexic. Actually, I am not dyslexic. The system is dyslexic. Until you wake up and realize that they don't know. And even if they do know, it's about shaping society. It's about controlling the mindset of people and keeping them in a corral as sheep or sheeple. And the farmers know the truth. The farmers get to feed you their own story to keep you enslaved. And you got to agitate the sheep, make them feel different, make them feel special. Make them feel different. And once you can create separation and opposition within the herd, you can control them because none of them are going to have enough outside to see that the fence might be broken. Only the black sheep. Only the black sheep would even dare jump over that fence. I was always called the black sheep. I liked it. But then when they realized that a lot of us were being born with black sheep, they came up with a story in a limerick for them so that the black sheep would feel bad and feel dumb. Baba, black sheep. Baba means father or leader. Ba, black sheep. Have you any wool? Now, who's asking the black sheep if he's got wool? Because if you really understand and know and really understand, withstand, and exostand, the black sheep not going to listen to anybody. The black sheep is totally solo doing its own thing. The black sheep is creating its own rhythm and his own song in his own time. He's a jazz musician. He is improvising constantly. The black sheep is the leader. He's awake. So they come up with a story where the farmer is asking the black sheep if he has any wool. And in this story, they twisted the truth of what a black sheep's nature is. And the black sheep answers the farmer and says, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full. Huh? Now, at that time, wool was money. This is commerce. And you're going to tell the farmer that you're off the farm and you're carrying bags of money, and you're going to tell him how much money is in the bags. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full. But damn. And then he proceeds in the story to not only tell you how much money, how much wealth, how much energy, how much love, how much energy that they're carrying. He also begins to talk about who he's giving it to. Who is he giving at the end of the story that I'm listening to as a child? The black sheep don't have any for themselves. It's counterintuitive. It's a lie. And you got that over and over, these stories that were impossible. Give up your power, give up your wealth, give up your intuition, give up your worthiness so you feel broken, you feel like a slave. Even the slave stories themselves didn't happen the way they're telling you. Tell me I got to go to Egypt one day. I'm in Egypt. Don't jip me with your story. Oh, that's where the pyramids are. There's more pyramids in North and South America than anywhere else. There's 2,200 pyramids that they found so far. They found ancient relics older than anything on the planet in North and South America. What was the old name of the Mississippi? Why are the names of Egypt along the cities of the Mississippi? So what do? You point over there. You give people all this diffracted. There's a new word. Diffracted energy. Oh, it's not a new word. This actually works. To get them to look away from themselves. When you begin to awaken to what spirituality is, you realize that it's inside of me. As long as I am constantly changing and growing. And those stories were okay. That was to test us, because only the black sheep would truly jump over the fence and go out into the world. That's what the black sheep is about. Do things totally different, start something new, cut a new path. Some of the most famous people in the world, what do? They cut a new path. They do something that nobody ever did. I began to realize that the names on these colleges and on these, these buildings on the colleges, these people didn't even go to college. They didn't know anything. They didn't go to college. They didn't get no degree. What is 1 degree, 2 degrees? I'm not saying you shouldn't go to college. There's a lot to learn there. There's a lot of people to meet. Some of the greatest deals were made at the college campuses, some of these friends. But you don't have to tell me that I have to go to college to really learn. Because I'm learning every day as long as I'm open. Long as your eye is open, your first eye, your single eye is open, you begin to awaken. But a lot of things that we've learned, it keeps us distracted and hoping for and praying for things that will not happen until you make them happen. That's mass distraction. That's a virus itself. One of the greatest viruses on the planet, right? The pandemic of distraction. To get you to be afraid of something that nobody can even prove. And stay 6 feet apart, 6 miles apart from yourself. Everything that ever happened is happening right now. And when you begin to focus on how bad it is, when you begin to focus on these fairy tales, and you begin to wait and pray to be saved, SOS, 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 dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, 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 dash, 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 save ourselves. That's what the boats do. There's an emergency. They send out SOS, Morse code. No, Dr. B, it's Morse code. Don't tell me twisting the truth. It's the Morse code. Flashes of light and tapping, dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, 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 dash, dash, dash. Save ourselves. Are you ready, willing, and able to do this? It takes courage. And that's what a lot of the stories and beliefs washed out of us and out of ourselves. The energy of courage. And they filled the average person with fear. False evidence appearing real. False expectations appearing real. The expectation of pain or loss. A lot of what we're afraid of has never happened. Somebody told you it's probably going to happen and it needs to happen. But when you start focusing inward and expanding your spiral, everything changes. But first, you got to realize what is eating you. What's pulling your intentions, your focus? What's distracting you? What's devouring your energy, your time? Why are you aging? Do you know one of the main things that causes aging, especially after the age of 40? Come on, let's do a little test here. Who knows the main thing, the number one aspect that causes aging? Some good answers here. Stress, sugar, oxidation, lack of soul expression, stress. And NPCs. Wow, see, interesting folks here today. It's a beautiful session. Judgmental. Parasites. All of these answers are actually really good, and they're all part of it. Judgment. No drums. Whew. Sleep deprived, worry, thoughtlessness, fear. Oh, this is good. Is this good or is this good today? You ready? The number one thing after the age of 40 that ages you is your birthday. Huh? Yes. Because you begin to count. And you're using a mathematical sequence that isn't even perfect. And somebody tells you that this is the day you were born, but they're focusing on how many days you have left energetically. It's like after 40, you keep saying how old you are. After 40 is great. Party, okay. Drink. Get around the cake. Did you know the cake itself is the birthday song and everything, and the cake is a whole ritual? Do you know what the cake represents? And the candles and the frosting or the icing on the cake? And that original song that everybody sang, which was not a joyful song, the notes and everything was going down to hell. It was not happy. Stevie Wonder had to come along, and when he created that, that's the new one for King, for Martin Luther King, that changed everything. Your birthday is representing, in a way, you moving towards your death day. They're going to cut the cake. The cake represents the female womb. It's made of powder, made of flour, powdered flour. Flour is the reproductive organs of the plant. The cake, right, represents the feminine reproductive organs. The flour, it's made of flour, made of powder. And what do they do to the feminine? They ice her down. They don't ever want a woman to go and thaw out. She can never reach what they call the 32nd degree of the secret societies. Not a woman. Why? Because she'll thaw out. And once the woman, the feminine, right, thaws out and wakes up and de-ices, she wakes up and changes everything, because then we realize that everything started as a woman. We started in a feminine nature, and this feminine nature has been so diluted and polluted. The first note of music used to be a feminine note. They took it away and made it do. Do is money in do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Look it up. It's Latin. What does do mean? Money. They put it at the beginning and the end of the scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Money, money. They took the feminine out. The zero is not even important in math anymore. Why not zero? Because zero is the feminine, and all numbers grew out of her. When you start playing around with the feminine essence, when you start playing around with the essence of that vibration which we came from, when you start playing with the concept of male and female and up and down and back and forth and in and out, and you start giving everybody this judgment, and you begin to measure yourself on a yardstick that's not even yours, because you don't even own your land. They're going to call it a yardstick, but where's your land? Even when you paid it off, they still got taxes on your ass. Taxes are like nails sometimes. They will sell your property real quick. You think you own it until you wake your ass up. The awakening is when you begin to really see again and stop calling your pineal the third eye. Where you get that lie from? I think that was from Power Funkadelic. Where you get that funk from? Where you get that lie? It's your first eye, because it developed first. That's what's eating you. What is eating you? The stories. I talk about a lot of this in the book. Some of it I don't talk about directly, but I allude to it, or I point you in the right direction. Where you now, even in the back of the book, there's a whole resource guide, so you can go study to find for yourself. Don't just expect all this to be given for free on YouTube. You've got to go and invest energy. Go to real libraries, get up on that ladder and find them real books. We just want the scoop. We just want to get to scoop up the first ideas we see on Google. And now Google is AI. And you think you believe AI. AI will lie based on what it needs you to know. Your parents would lie. They lied based on what they felt you needed to know. Somebody said, where is the library? They still got libraries. They're going to have some libraries. But we're lazy. We just want to get it quick. I just want to push a button. AI told me. AI is just about scooping up information from the past and handing it to you. But guess what? Where we are right now, we're in a new place that we've never been. And a lot of the information that we've been using is not going to help us today. Because the information is just the information that was written down by other human beings who had concept, and that concept was something that was given to them, and they keep posting and posting and posting and posting up and posting and posting and likes and dislikes and likes and likes and posting and posting and posted up. It's about movement, y'all. It's about the movement of the spheres. It's about the movement of the what? Equinoxes. And the thing about this system is the more you look at something, the bigger it grows. If you look at the problems, they expand. I'm so tired about how much gas costs. You know, I put a certain amount of gas in my car. I got a dollar figure that I'm going to use no matter what, so I don't stress at the tank. Oh my God, that's the talk. 80% of the talk is about the problems. I very seldom hear about solutions. Somebody walk up to me with some solutions. Give me some solutions. The elders back in the day had some solutions. Now, boys, sit down. Let me tell you something. I remember uncles and aunties and grandparents. They usually had something to say to help you, to give you some vision. Like when my grandmother told me when I was leaving, going to California, she says, son, don't ever leave home without a prayer. Do you know how deep that is? Don't leave home without a prayer. Don't leave home without a direction. Don't leave home without a focus, because guess what? Mass distraction and the virus and all the rest of this stuff out there is going to distract you until you keep playing the rhythms you came here to play. Find your music. Play your beat. Play your drum. Don't tell me that the music business is, Dr. B, it make no sense to get in the music business now. Well, what do you mean? So stop making music? Because the business model that was eating you alive, that was just sucking your life force out, it's changed. And some of these platforms you putting your music on, Spotify in them and the rest of them companies, they tell you that they own your music. It's not yours. You gave it to them of your own free will. Did you read the disclaimers? They're going to sample your stuff and sell it. You got to have a direction. You got to create a direction right now. You got to wake now. Why? Because this is it. The energy is moving so fast. Things are happening. You're going to have to do something. Otherwise, you end up in entropy. What is entropy? Entropy is when you have a closed loop system and you don't add anything new to it. And it begins to destruct, self-destruct. Entropy. If you stay the way you are and the way you were, and you keep doing the same stuff, whether it's spiritual, eating, whether it's the way you're living, the way you're learning, what you're listening to, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and in no way introduce something new, everything degrades. Entropy. Everything moves towards chaos and destruction unless you're adding something new to the story or to the loop or to your body. If you keep doing it and believing the same stuff over, no matter how spiritual it sounds, it's not truly spiritual if it's the same stuff over and over. You got to add something new. That's why even AI is adding something new. Your words, your thoughts, your ideas, your creativity. You better learn how to use this as a tool and stop asking it some questions that you shouldn't be asking it. You should be able to go out and do your own thing and find out. Use things as a tool. As a researcher, yes, maybe. You don't have to go to 25 libraries, but it's not factual. It's just what other people wrote down. It's a machine. You are being challenged to become more organic, to become more creative, or you won't be able to exist. Doing the same thing over and over creates entropy. Playing the same song over and over and over. Playing the same rhythm, talking the same talk over, hanging out with the same group over and over and over. Entropy. That's not spirituality. Parasites. Things that live in or on another thing. Using that thing's energy. Devouring the resources of its host. There's mental parasites, physical parasites, systemic parasites that live throughout the system. Spiritual and cosmic parasites. What the heck are they? You ready to do something new and talk a new talk? I got some people that I know, and as soon as I know that they've called, they're going to talk about how broke they are and how rough it is and how tough it is and how bad the system is and how they don't like men, they don't like women, they don't like they. It's the same talk. Because the system, right, is set up by beings that give you the illusion of how bad it is. The test is, are you ready to wake up and grow out of those old shoes, those old ways, huh? Are you really ready to do something new? A new prayer? You think your singing bowl is going to change everything. You've been ringing that thing for how long? What's happened? Palo Santo. I know folks that's into plant teachers. Oh, Dr. B, I did Aya, man. I went and did Aya again. I went and did ayahuasca, man, and I did the frog. And a lot of folks that I've talked to, they're doing this all the time. Well, what's changed? They feel like they're on a spiritual drug now. Yeah, man. Wow, I saw so many shapes, and my grandma came. What did grandma say? I saw her, but what did she say? They call these things plant teachers, but what are you really learning? The system is set up to trick you and test you. It's an obstacle course. Obstacle. Ob has to do with seeing. Do you see the course? We're here to test ourselves. We asked to be here. We don't realize that we asked for these families and these situations. You would say, no, Doc, I wouldn't ask for this. Well, you did. You just don't know it from this life. But masters are always looking for more mastery. They're always looking to test themselves. So we came here in this particular existence, which is just one of many, to test ourselves, to see if we could get through hell. Until you change something. Until you wake up. Until you change your activity, change your angle, change your talk. I've been doing consultations lately, and folks have been waking up, like, because I want to go in quick. My thing is that I'm not going to sit here and just play with you. My goal is to go in quick and snatch the creature out of you. The creature may not be physical. It may be energetic. It's a belief. Oh, Dr. B, and I wanted to get a session, man, but you cost too much. I cost too much. I'm too expensive or I'm too expansive. First, you got to respect the time that I'm investing to help you. In the many years that I've gone through to study all these different things, to have this knowledge. If you're connected to Dr. B or whoever it is, you should invest in them. And if you're always looking for the cheapest way out, just because you're so used to getting stuff for free on YouTube, You've got to be willing to invest. Invest at a higher level. Like to me, your cleanse costs a lot, and I bought a cleanse for $9.99 at Whole Half Foods over there, and man, I think I got rid of all my parasites in 2 days. Impossible. You're always looking for the easy way. Why? Because you're like black sheep. Bad black sheep. Have you any wool? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full. Because we go along with these stories, these beliefs that somebody told you that these little things in this bottle was going to do something at a deep level. And if that's what you really believe, I guess that's true for you. Let's go to the book. How many of you have the book? What's Eating You? Break free from mental, physical, and energetic parasites. The Journey from Opposition to Liberation. What's Eating You by Dr. B. Sirius. Actually, most of this book was channeled. You could see it. There's places I'm reading it now. I'm like, God, I didn't really finish that sentence correctly. I could change this. I could change that. In fact, there's many things I might change if I were to write it again. But this is what it is. And it manifests, and we're going to let it go. We got other things we're working on. But the information in here, as I read it, is so deep. It's so valid. So we're going to read from the book today. Dreaming Awake, Chapter 7. Why is it Chapter 7? Because each letter, each number has meaning. Dreaming Awake. When I was a boy, I had many vivid dreams. From time to time, I would have a recurring vision state in which massive translucent objects descend from the sky, carrying beings that can shift between physical and non-physical states. This is page 76. In dreams, these beings aim solely to feed on human psychic energy by collecting plasma-like substances from certain people. These visions returned and intensified after my experience in the Bermuda Triangle. I asked some of my teachers about these dreamlike visions, and they all offer the same explanation. Basically, they said that I was channeling past, present, and future events. They all stated that this information would prove valuable for my future mission. In my dreams, there were different types of beings living on and within the earth. Some came from elsewhere in the universe, others shifted through time and dimensions. It is even theorized that we may have come to Earth from elsewhere. I'm going to say that again. It is even theorized that we may have come to Earth from elsewhere. When you look at nature, you see millions of different life forms, all in a state of equilibrium. Otherwise, we would cease to exist. In dream time, I was told that between 4,000 and 6,000 years ago, objects fell or landed in specific places on Earth, like Egypt, and several locations where between the 33rd parallel and 19.5 degrees north and south. This is where many pyramids, mounds, and sacred sites are. I'm going to say that again. Between the 33rd parallel and 19.5 degrees north and south. Some of y'all that ring some bells. Go study that. And right now I'm in Atlanta, and Atlanta is on the 33rd parallel. In Los Angeles, there's a point also that's at the 33rd parallel. When you start looking at these parallels and these degrees on the planet, there are certain similarities that are just locked in. And this isn't belief. This is actual facts. They seem to line up mathematically. This is where many the pyramids and sacred sites are. It is said that non-physical beings, psychic energy parasites, arrived on the planet. One of their many names is the soul catchers. They travel from planet to planet, even jumping across dimensions and timelines to create discord among other beings, then harvesting the resulting disagreeable energy as a food source. This is it, y'all. They developed an ability to generate mass conflict frequencies that agitate and manipulate minds to consume the inharmonic essences or vapors emitted by people living in chronically stressed states of consciousness. I'm going to read it again. These beings, developed an ability to generate mass conflict frequencies that agitate and manipulate minds to consume the inharmonic essences or vapors emitted by people living in chronically stressed states of consciousness. They crafted a type of human agricultural project, or a worldwide energy farm in which stress and confusion are the key ingredients that domesticate most of the population all the time. I'm going to say it one more time. They created a type of human agricultural project or a worldwide energy farm in which stress and confusion are the key ingredients that domesticate most of the population all the time. Do y'all know about this? There's some beings that create the field of drama and trauma and discord, and the resulting plasma type energy, the drama waves, is what they eat. Yes, they're called the soul catchers. That's one of the names. Yes. That's just like here you have certain people, certain groups of people who create drama. They create a problem. Could be a disease, an emergency, and they broadcast it that this is a big problem. And most of the people are going to follow it because they're followers. Most of the people are not, black sheep. They're not totally awake. Most of the people are in the sleep wake, and they're sleepwalkers. And they're wanderers and drifters. So you scare them to hell. Then the same people that create the problem come up with a solution, because we, the people, demand a solution for the problem that they created. So these beings create the vibration of drama and separation and difference. And the result is this energy that's in the environment that these beings drink. This is their food, just like you need watermelon or greens or lamb chops or whatever it is that you might consume. These beings eat drama, all that gossip, all that meanness, control, and power. That's one of the things we like to, convince ourselves that we have is control and power to control other people's lives and treat them like animals and force them. And one thing about certain people is they always talk about what we want. You got somebody that pops up and they're self-proclaimed captain of the ship. What we want, what we do, and even in relationships. Have you noticed that? One person is maybe going through some health issues and they can't really speak for themselves or do too much. So the other one is talking about what we want, what we decide. And you find out later on the person that may be, going through something doesn't really like that. They're being forced to like it. How many people are being forced to like something that they in no way like? How many people are involved in something that they were convinced through repetition over and over that this must be the way it is? This is what we're into. This is what we do. This is the way this group, this color, this people, you know what I'm saying? This religion or this culture, like America or South Americans, and the way this is the way we are. And you get convinced that this is the way and this is normal or this is good for us all, when you find out actually we're marching towards self-destruction because they've played with the feminine essence so weak. This is what you've got to wake up and get quickly. That when you destroy the feminine essence, just like in a beehive, when you play with the queen bee, and when there's no more order, because the queen, she creates the order. The feminine creates the order. The feminine creates the atoms. The feminine side of the electrical circuit creates the atoms. Not the other way around. Who would tell you a lie like that? Somebody that wants to control your mind. Think that everything was made by males and the females are just subservient. When you play with the feminine essence, you create colony collapse disorder. The whole hive collapses. So these beings are always creating colony collapse disorder, because when the colony is collapsing, you have so many disagreeable people fighting and pointing, and this whole thing with competition is a whole nother issue. There's a healthy competition, but most of the competition we're in is creating disease. Dis-ease. Are you hearing? I'm going to, actually, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick break. And I'm going to play a track that I produced along with a brother named Selah. And the words of this, and listen to the rhythm that I'm playing on the conga drums, and listen to what he's saying and emitting. It breaks this thing down in a whole nother way. So as we take a quick break, I just would like you to listen to this track. And when we come back, we're going to go and read a little bit more from the book. So let's take a quick, brief pause for the cause, and we'll be right back with you.
Yes, Great Mother, thou hast patiently protected my purpose. Difficult this path of perfection. Indeed, the dead shall not know this glory. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. The desert of my soul has been drenched by the waters of life, liberated from labels, lacking no thing. This is the way of wisdom, the testament of tears, formed in the bowels of becoming, bringing forth the fruit of freedom. Bind not the beloved with busyness nor boredom. Rest is the reward of the Lord. Victory is assured to those that endure the depths of indecision. with perfect vision, pierce the veil of illusion, vanquish the villains of virtue, heal heaven's broken heart. Thou art imperishable, everlasting isness, nameless, blameless, purity personified. Be not tied to sensation, temptation, nor desire the temporal fires that burn your blessings. Shake till you wake, take your place amongst the luminous race, wrapped in royal radiance, transcending beginnings and endings, firmly rooted in the love above. Time is the enemy. Seconds are missed moments. Seconds are missed moments. Seconds are missed moments. We are inspired by shadows, moving by images, wildly wiggling our way through wonderland. Thou shalt not want. It is the perceived condition of lack that brings forth desire. Desire wants to fill its emptiness. Obviously, where's that emptiness? Where's that problem that takes your attention, consuming your moments? These are tricks of the brain trained to defend its temporariness. A jealous God demanding the allegiance of my members. It remembers what me forgot. It is and is not a nebulous nuisance needing more. Always. When one attempts to mature in consciousness through a fear-based perceptual lens, limiting beliefs in self will systematically sabotage the soul's ascension towards the freedom of knowing. Knowing demands surrender. Surrender befriends compassion. Compassion is the doorway to divine thought. Divine thought actualizes itself as pure potential. This omnipotent guiding force attempts to navigate its dualistic expression through socially enforced insecurities, creating antichrist archetypes that ultimately destroy the natural evolutionary process. Man does indeed possess the spark. It is unfortunately masked in the mystery that mesmerizes minds, confines men to mere mortality, a finite fallacy that feeds on fear. Fast from your past, fan the flames of fruition, finish your mission, listen to the babies, smell the daisies, birth yes from maybes, free yourself of yourself. Everything else is fake. Fear's an illusion, confusion is choosing when there's no choice. The voice heard first is Christ, so to think twice is blasphemy. For those with souls that see and hearts that hear, it's always now. Wow.
Yes, 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 yes. How does that hit? Huh? Whew. Christ. The word Christ means crystallized imagination. When your imagination is crystallized, you in the Christ-like state, a crystalline type state, staying focused and being an indivisible individual, focusing on new goals and expanding yourself and totally realizing that each day is a new day, a new awakening. We are now in the summer. We're riding on the waves of the summer solstice. The sun is high, so we are close than ever, closer than ever. Get out of entropy. You got to do something new. Start something brand new. Stop going along with what everybody is saying and feel into it. Think 7 times before you think, before you judge, before you move. That is wise. Think 7 times before you grab these emotions and these beliefs and they tell you what something is. And we're so used to getting this that we get caught up in it and we think that that's the way of the world. That is not the way of the world. There is no world. The world is your world. The earth is not the world. Have y'all realized this yet? When they say somebody is the richest person in the world, you think of the world you've been told and programmed to believe in, and it's small. If you say the wealthiest person on earth, they got dark skin, and they live in a place that it would blow your mind. Who is actually the wealthiest person on the earth? because it could be you if you're awake, if you're willing to be awakened, if you're willing to do what must be done, if you're willing to invest at the next level to get rid of the stuff that's eating you alive. I don't profess to have all of the answers, but there's just some things that I see that I feel I could share and help other folks with. And part of it has got to do with your perception. But a lot of folks are under perceptions management. Perceptions management is a whole program. They had a thing called COINTELPRO, which is still counterintelligence programs that they created in the 60s to play with people's perceptions of what is and what isn't. The world is not the earth. When they tell you how many people there are in the world, it is not true. It's actually impossible. What has that got to do with you? What's that got to do with each of us? The folks who have, done the core access experience with us, we'll be doing one soon. The core access experience is a group guided meditation where we use music and sound and take you to a place where you create a whole brain or a balanced brain state and it changes your life. It's called the core access experience. We'll be offering one again here soon in Atlanta and one in Los Angeles coming too. We could actually bring one to you too. So it's possible for us to come. We can do a book signing, do a core access, and do a lecture and a workshop and all those things if you're interested in, bringing that to your community, your people, So, and you just go to elevationtime.com if you'd like to inquire about any of those things that we offer. So back to the book. Yeah, I'm glad some of y'all picking up why orange is a deep color and why we use it. But this piece right here, I talked about these beings. This is where you wake up when you realize this is like a terrarium. We're like in a zoo, a matrix, but you can break out. There's a way to break out of it. So all of a sudden you wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. These beings, they developed the ability to generate mass conflict frequencies that agitate and manipulate minds to consume the inharmonic essence or vapors emitted by people living in chronically stressed states of consciousness. How many people are living in chronically stressed states of consciousness, even in what you call the conscious community? So much division and ego, and it's just so much. You got to look a certain way and talk a certain way to be conscious. I got to greet you a certain way and have a certain hairdo and ring a certain bell and agree with some bullshit that you came up with that works for you. For me, it's the shit of bulls. That's why they kick me out of most of these groups and say, but Dr. B, we don't need you here. That's also why I was told that I was selected to be the spiritual leader, because I'm the leader of newness. I'm always leading newness, and you are too a spiritual leader in your life. Elect and select yourself. These beings created a type of human agricultural project or a worldwide energy farm in which stress and confusion are the key ingredients that domesticate most of the population all the time. And these beings are huge. They're translucent. You can't really see them. They're hiding in plain sight. Some people see a little shadow in the corner of their eyes. Not all of them are actually these creatures, but these creatures actually can change form and become your friends and become your family and become your government. And this ain't the reptilians. This is what's controlling the reptilians. This is deeper than that. You heard me. It has been said. Excuse me. As we getting deep, so my throat gets a little itchy. Let me get some tea. Get my little nutrition. It has been said The toxoplasma parasites may be biological drones that implant themselves in people, keeping the population agitated or under a spell, creating a virtual mental farm. I'm going to read it again. It has been said that the toxoplasma, remember I told you these beings are like plasma, the toxoplasma parasites may be biological drones that implant themselves in people, keeping the population agitated and under a spell, creating a virtual mental farm. This is on page 77 of What's Eating You. These drones or satellites may be remotely controlled by pirates who now live off the world, traveling in hive-like ships that consume energy from afar. Some may perceive this as evil or say that these beings are devils, but it is exactly what humans do. In fact, it's exactly what humans do. I'm going to read that again. Some people may perceive this as evil, what these beings do, or say these beings are devils, but it is exactly what humans do. Don't we do this? Travel in groups or hives, in religions and political dysfunctions or whatever, and absorb the energy of others who may not know what we know and feel what we feel. We on the planet are doing exactly what we think that these alien creatures are doing. And we call them aliens, and they've been here longer than us. Some may perceive this as evil, but these beings that say that these beings are devils, but it is exactly what humans do. In fact, they do this to the animals and people they deem lower than themselves. This is humans. Humans do this. I'm not even reading. I'm reading around it. Okay. In fact, they do this to the animals and people they deem. I'm going to make a note because I'm going to change that. As I'm reading through the book, I'm looking at things that I need to change. It's never a finished thing. Whew. In fact, they do this to the animals. This is people. They do this to animals. And people they deem lower than themselves, raising them as livestock. That's what these beings on the other planet is doing, or in space are doing to us. Using techniques like mass distraction, deception, distortion, deprivation. What is that word? Deprivation, cognitive dissonance, crossbreeding, bondage, emotional pain, and chronic stress. People are easily kept under control. Man absorbs their life force energy as food. Then man absorbs their life force energy as food, all in the name of survival. So are we devils too? Toxoplasma is what creates the parasitic vibration where we become parasitic on each other. Researchers have theorized that up to 70% of the world's population may be infected with toxoplasma. 1/3 of the world's population. What we know for a fact is that toxoplasma, or whatever controls it, is a factor in the collapse of our human colony. What's been eating you has been eating all of us for thousands of years. As bad as all this may sound, there are simple solutions that have been used by naturalists all over the world and can inhibit the power of this superbug and these super beings. I created a specific 28-day herbal program. Pharmaceuticals and herbs alone are not very effective because they can't pass the blood-brain barrier, and that's where toxoplasma lives, in the brain. Most traditional parasite cleansers have little or no effect on toxoplasma, superbugs, brainworms, and organisms engineered as biological weapons. We use a particular group of medicinal master mushrooms, essential oils, flower essences, crystal elixirs, and rare earths, M-state elements, and minerals from the Great Barrier Reef. Historically, this type of natural program has been very effective in reestablishing our 28-day circadian biorhythm, which are essential for a properly functioning immune system. When our minds and immune systems are imbalanced or weakened, disharmony or disease results. At that point, we become more susceptible to becoming hosts to beings that take advantage of our weaknesses and siphon our energy. Systemic parasites are brilliant manipulators and masters of survival. They hide in immune privileged sites. Do you guys know what immune privileged sites are? So your brain is an immune privileged site. So in other words, you can't really have inflammation in the brain because it would take you out. So there are parts of your immune system that won't affect your brain because we don't need a war in the brain. And when we do, we have a lot of, brain problems. But there are certain parts of our bodies, like our eyes and parts of our reproductive organs, certain parts like the testicles and the ovaries, where they are considered immune privileged. In other words, the immune system doesn't really deal or affect them to create inflammation, or they could take us out. So these are immune privileged areas of the body where these parasites have learned to control or to live, to cloak themselves. They hide in immune privileged sites such as the brain, the eyes, the joints, and sensitive areas. They also create slimy coatings. Here's the deep part. Slimy coatings called biofilm to encapsulate, cloak, and protect themselves from detection or harm. This makes them totally resistant to most pharmaceutical and common herbal preparations. Parasites also use this biofilm to attach themselves to tissues, metals, rocks, and plastics. Using microplastics, they form a super biofilm that creates a super strong protective layer or cyst-like container, also known as a plastosphere. This is one of the main reasons why simple parasite cleansing herbs are largely ineffective today. Let me put that in here. They cannot degrade these complex structures. Now, what are we saying? So we're using a lot of herbs for parasites that have been used for thousands of years. But the new parasites, first of all, have mutated to mimic and to live within the biorhythm of the modern day human. So a lot of the foods that we've consumed, which can contain, preservatives and bioplastics, they say that the average person is eating almost a credit card size of plastic every week. The parasites they're using the these plastics, the biofilm plastic, or let me say it again, cancel, cut, delete, clear. They take the plastic, the microplastics, and they embed it in the biofilm, which is a protective coating that the parasites create to create a super, super strong encapsulating closure or a spaceship. So the herbs we've been using for many years are largely ineffective on the what they call systemic parasites, because these superbugs are not like the regular biological creatures made by nature. They're made by beings from other places, and also some of these superbugs were created as germ warfare devices. The biofilm is hard to cut through. How are you going to divide? How are you going to dissolve it? What herbs breaks down biofilm? Very few. There's a few, but I haven't seen anybody using them. You're also going to have to use other substances. to break down biofilm. These are the things that we created, that we put in, that have come from creation, that we put in the elevated total body program. Some people say, well, what is it, Dr. B? I don't know anything about this stuff. Well, in the cleanse that, Dr. B is known for, the elevated total body program, does just that. It begins to break down the biofilm. We also have things in there now that actually dissolve microplastics. How do you dissolve microplastics? Do you have even have any idea? Can cloves do it? Wormwood? Black walnut, green black walnut hulls? Diatomaceous earth? Pumpkin seeds? And there's a bunch of herbs that are really, really good for breaking down and destroying the environment of and parasites that live in the colon and digestive tract. They do work. I'm not saying that they don't work. We're not talking about somebody else's product and saying it is ineffective. I am saying that they are effective for one group of parasites that are living what they call enteric parasites in the intestinal wall and in the intestines and in the bowel. There's a whole nother group of parasites. They're systemic parasites. They live throughout the system, in the eyes, in the ears, in the kidneys, in the liver. That's what the elevated total body program was created for, to help break them down. And it takes at least 28 days to begin to dissolve the biofilm and to interrupt the biocircadian rhythm of these superbug parasites. That's the specialty that I deal with. Also, we have to use sound. Remember, I said I started in music. So we figured out how to put sound in certain frequencies in the herbs. Not using a digital device that's supposed to break up the parasites, because they got those now. They say it's Rife technology, and most of these devices are not Rife technology because Rife did not use digital frequencies. So if you're using a digital box, and usually they're small, to try to kill off parasites, remember Rife only used analog frequencies. We figured out how to use crystals and magnetic waves to take sound and to use the sound to implement into the herbs at a certain vibration and a certain frequency over a certain amount of time. I don't know of anybody else that's done it. So that program is called the Elevated Total Body Program. And if you're interested in it or any of the products at elevationtime.com, you can receive a 15% off discount up until Sunday. Now, remember, the program and a lot of the things on the program on the website are already on sale. But until Sunday, if you use this discount code AWAKE or coupon code AWAKE26, you will get another 15% off. That is until Sunday at midnight. Some people call me Monday and say, Dr. B, I tried the code and it doesn't work. And I asked, well, did you use it by Sunday at midnight? No, you didn't say that. Well, I'm saying it and I'm showing it on the screen right now. For 15% off, use the code AWAKE26. When people begin to use this program, they awaken up. They're waking up. Is that a thing? Can we say that? From a deep sleep. Most people have been sleeping since they were a child, since the first shots that you got as a child. How many inoculations did they give the child? That stuff's still in your system. How are you going to get it out? Still in your cells. We figured out how to use certain products, especially these medicinal mushrooms, to break down the frequency and the energy of many of those what they call retroviruses that are in your system. 28-day. Somebody said, question. Let me show it. Question, Doc. Could pattern chi, structured breathing, have an effect on toxoplasmosis? Not every day, one breath at a time, real heightened life breath. No, because guess what? The parasite don't care about your breathing. The parasite is mimicking you. It lives in your biorhythm. The breathing, people want to do breathing. They like to do yoga and all of these things and prayer and meditation. This is a superbug. It is more intelligent. First of all, it's a biological drone that is being controlled by the beings that are controlling this whole quadrant of space. They know about your breathing. And a lot of the things that we're doing, we're not even doing in a whole fashion. We just got scattered pieces of information that we've been given that I'm not saying don't do them because they work. Yes, you should do these pattern chi and breathing. Yes, it's all very important. Not against toxoplasma, y'all. And the toxoplasma itself will have you doing things to make it stronger. And there's another one called uriplasma. Have y'all even heard of uriplasma? That's its cousin. How are you going to deal with uriplasma? What is uriplasma? Malaria. Most people who've been bitten by a mosquito may have an energetic form of malaria still in their system. These particular parasites affect the way you act and who you mate with. They even affect what you may use to get rid of what you call parasites. They're so intelligent, they'll have you doing things to make their environment stronger. In the lab, we use most of the products for parasites, and we noticed that the superbugs were getting stronger and the weak bugs were getting weaker. Yes, diatomaceous earth does scrub some of your digestive tract clean from certain parasites. Yes, it does. How are you going to get that into your liver, your kidneys, your spleen? How do you get that into the heart tissue? How do you do it? You got to change the frequency of every fluid, every tissue of your body. We got to change the song, the rhythm. When I went through the Bermuda Triangle, in the book, I talk about what happened, and I was given this very special information. It changed everything. And those of you who have done the elevated total body program knows exactly what I'm talking about. You wake up. You start seeing things differently. You start speaking up for yourself. You find true love, and you begin to attract others. And it helps every part of your life once you begin to eradicate systemic parasites, not enteric parasites, systemic parasites. Okay? Platinum Life Elixir. What is this about? Well, as you're getting rid of superbugs, you notice that your first eye begins to come online. When you begin to put pressure on your pineal gland, by putting pressure on the fluid in your spine, or pushing it up to the top of your tongue or the top of your mouth with your tongue and put pressure on your pineal, it begins to emit light. What does the pineal do? It can see more of the spectrum that we cannot detect with our regular eyes, ears, and nose and our senses. It can tie into and tap into other dimensions. Platinum Life helps to energize your pineal gland. It helps to instigate anti-aging because it has these plants that help you grow young. It energizes the body. It helps to repair telomeres. What are telomeres? That's what keeps you young and tells your body to heal. When the telomeres begin to unwind, we begin to age, and our body doesn't heal as quick. They call it aging. And that begins after the age of 40. If you're not careful, living in this environment, your telomeres begin to unwind. Also, stress and belief has a big effect on your telomeres. This product is also great for intuition enhancement and heavy metal detoxification. How does it do it? Because it's got monatomic platinum, gold, iridium, palladium, copper, orms or ormas, which are M state elements. It's a whole study on that. superconductors that elevate life force energy fields. Also, 9 rare adaptogenic nootropics. This one right here is this. There's so many words that we can say what this does. It opens up folks. Some folks are having an effect. And somebody called me the other day. He said, look, it's almost like the veil came off. And it's like I took some mushrooms, but I wasn't high. I was clear. I see it. I can hear what's really happening. I know who I truly am. So this helps to bring awareness to who we truly are. Focus is what I've been taking throughout today. This tonic comprises some of the world's best natural brain enhancing substances. It's great for memory, energy enhancement, mental clarity, mental fatigue, focus, study enhancement, brain fog, forgetfulness, perception, stamina, and creativity. Now, if you take it before bed, you may have some vivid dreams, but some folks would like that. So focus is good for that. And yes, children can use it too. Passion elixir keeps you passionate about being you, passionate about your own ideas, passionate about love and intimacy, because love is the one thing that changes everything. When you tap into what's called true love, what is true love? I'm going to read just a little bit from the book. We're almost out of time. The Map of Consciousness Explained by David R. Hawkins. The Map of Consciousness Explained by David R. Hawkins. This is the person who came up with most of the concepts on energy and vibration and how our bodies are, biofields of electrical and musical impulses. 85% of the world's population calculates below 200. Now, there's a chart in these books, and it shows you the numbers. It puts numbers to the energy field. Okay. Maybe I should look at the other book too. Let's get them both, because this is another one. The Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins. I would get both of these books. Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins. And in here, there is a chart. Let me show you the chart. It's the map of consciousness. So it shows you the frequency of different levels of people and emotion. So at 200, the average person never makes it to the vibrational state of 200, which is courage, pure courage, affirmation, and empowerment. That's at 200. This chart goes from 20 up to 1,000. From 20 to 1,000. So let's talk about 20 is the lowest one. You're miserable. You live in shame, humiliation, and you're constantly eliminating yourself. You're doing self-harm. That's what toxoplasma causes you to do. Self-harm, to do things that you feel are what? Good for you, but they're actually not good for you. That's relationships, certain herbs that you're taking, certain practices, certain things that you're doing. The average person is living in the realm of self-harm, which is controlled by toxoplasma, which is the mind control parasite. And it lives in the brain, so the average herbs and the average medicines cannot enter the brain because it would take you out. So go back to the book. 85% of the world's population calibrates below 200, which accounts for the vast suffering on the planet. Humankind, thankfully, is saved from self-destruction by virtue of the fact that the minority calibrating at positive levels counterbalances the weight of negativity. For example, here it is, y'all. For example, one individual at the level of love, which is 500, counterbalances 750,000 individuals below 200. I need to say it again. For example, one individual, at the level of love, which is 500, counterbalances 750,000 individuals below 200. The significance of each person's inner evolution then becomes obvious. Did it just say that a person vibrating at 500 counterbalances 750 individuals below 200? Do the math. You only need 10,000 people. What is 10,000 times 750? Please do the math. 10,000 times 750. When you get the number, put it in the chat. We're winding things up. And this is the wind up, y'all. This is the wake up. When we learn to vibrate at 500, $500 is pure love, reverence, and revelation. 500 is pure love. What is the number? If you got 10,000 people vibrating at 750,000, that's what keeps us going. That's what keeps us existing. Oh, you only need 10,000 people, not a lot of people. Imagine 100,000. Let's do 100,000. 100,000 times 750,000. Do that math. Let's redo the math. 100,000 times 750,000. That's the amount of people that you need on the planet vibrating at true love. And I mentioned this in the book, and I also, at the end of the book, I do talk about these two books and how to get them as part of the resource guide in the back. So once we are vibrating at true love, and not just love for ourselves, but true love for others, that means we're no longer speaking disagreeably. We're detoxifying our body. And in order to vibrate at true love, you have to get rid of toxoplasma. And the reason why, I came up with this particular program, the Elevated Total Body Program, because there was nothing else like it on the planet. Nobody had the vision. Nobody realized that the music and the drums that I was playing as a child and the way I was seeing things and what they call dyslexia and PTSD and DBMD and HDHD and HT, all of those letters, I had them all because I was having an out of body, out of mind experience constantly. And I still am. And there's something that I am channeling that nobody else is. And guess what? You are too. Once you realize that you've got to become an indivisible individual and stop talking for other people and stop trying to explain what somebody else means. What do you mean? Are you saying what you truly mean? Are you being who you truly are? Once you have this number, you'll realize that everything on the planet stays in balance and we have a chance to make it because at least 100,000 people are vibrating at true love. And you only need that amount to counterbalance everybody below the vibration of 200. That's who you are today. If you're still on today, you're beginning to vibrate at the higher levels. By being here today, by just listening to the vibration. And my highest choice is that you're hearing it and something in you is beginning to awaken at this time. Why is this time so important? Because on the 26,000-year calendar, we're at a period called the morning or the awakening, when the feminine essence brings us back to the center called Hanabku. This time in 2026 is a gateway year to 2027 where we are in the position of the new age. We have finally hit it. We are in the photon belt or the photon band right now, or a cloud of this photonic light energy in space. And these biophotons, these living creatures called biophotons, are emitting light and giving us new information that we never had before. We've never been here because we haven't been in the photon band for 13,000 years. So who was alive then? This is the time when we can break free once we become aware and awake to this. We've been in a biodome. We've been on a stage. We've been in a cage. And we got to become the black sheep again. Are you ready? Or are you going to allow yourself to let the financial situation, the political situation, the religious situation, and all these things that keep us attracting and distracting you from being the best you could be right now today. We each have a chance to renew ourselves each day and let go of the thing that's sucking out your light. These creatures that are controlling most of the people on the planet, they can only do it if you allow them to. You got to change the way you live, the way you thought. Look at your habits and why you're doing certain things and speaking a certain way. You've got to learn how to mind your business and business your mind and realize that your life is business. You've got to learn to allow yourself to be your best self, because who is stopping most of us is us and our beliefs. And stop talking about how bad it is in the world and who did what and what these ancient creatures are doing. Once you begin to break the biofilm, this coating around yourself, break free from you being a parasite of yourself, to yourself, for yourself, with yourself, by yourself. Once you begin to do that, you awaken. How many of you are ready to wake up right now? Change your rhythm, change your life, change your talk, change your life. We are at a place where the spiral goes through a certain expansive growth or expansive change that wakes up everything. Nature, there's new animals popping up, and us animals that haven't been around for 13,000 years are awakening. Things are changing. They're not the same. But once we keep telling ourselves the same old fairy tale, we get lost. And it's not fair that they told you those tales, but that was to test you. Are you willing to really become the next level? Once you put those glasses on, as Dick Gregory said, you can't take them off. You're going to see everything different. How many of you are seeing differently? How many of you are moving towards the true love vibration of 500 right now? You see, for the last 13,000 years, we've lived like nymphs. A nymph is the baby version of the dragonfly. And the nymph lives in the water, usually in swampy water. It's an ugly little thing that looks like a bug, like a shrimp, or it's ugly. It's actually got teeth and it's eyes, and it's really it's living in survival. It's constantly eating and eating everything, but also everything is trying to, eat it. So it lives in fight or flight. The nymph, which is the early stage of the dragonfly, lives in fight or flight. And it's a victim and a victimizer all at the same time. But what happens is, at a certain point, after 3 to 5 years of living, and for us, it's been 13,000 years of living in the swamp. Inside you, once you tap into the beautiful you-ness inside of you and the uniqueness, all of a sudden, the imaginal cells come online. What are the imaginal cells? Please look that up. Look it up. The imaginal cells. They're not just in caterpillars. They're in dragonflies. They're in most beings. And they come online when you begin to crystallize your imagination and realize that the Christ vibration is in you once you become crystallized, and you start focusing on your true desires and let go of what everybody else is doing. Be ready to jump the fence as the black sheep. Your imaginal cells come online, and the dragonfly, or the baby dragonfly, the nymph, crawls up a reed, crawls up a stick or a stem out of the swampy water. And for the first time, the sun hits, which cracks its little shell that it's been living in. It cracks it open, and the little dragonfly pops out. And he's tender and soft, and it's never been out in the atmosphere like this. It's been under the water fighting for its life. Its eyes develop really quickly, and it begins to see outside of the swamp for the first time. Its little antennas pop out, and it begins to pull in information from the galaxy that causes it to forget what it's like to be a nymph. And the antennas develop quickly because it has to get the new signal that it is a dragonfly. And then the wings are all crumpled up because they've been folded up in this damp environment all this time. Then suddenly the message comes from the universe and hits the antenna of the new baby dragonfly. It's got to fly quickly. It must take the water that's still inside its body from the swamp and pump the water of the swamp into its wings. The water of the swamp is full of fight or flight and victimhood and war and opposition and danger and fear. It must take all those emotions, all those feelings, all those experiences and pump them into its wings as a fluid that will now take that dragonfly so that it can fly. It's got to pump the stuff from the past. We must take the stuff from the past that we've been through, the pain, the turmoil, the trauma, the drama, all the belief systems. We must transform that and transmute that into a crystalline type of water and pump that water into our wings. Then the sun hits the wings of the dragonfly. And now the wings become solar panels and electrify the dragonfly. And its wings stretch out and they're beautiful colors. You can see the rainbows of everything. And the sun dries up the water of victimhood that's in the wings water. And it dissipates. And the dragonfly flies away. And for the next 2 to 3 weeks, the only thing the dragonfly does is it makes love out of the things that are not love. And when they fly, I don't know if you've seen them, they make a heart. And that heart is constantly moving towards change, evolution, revolution, changing the frequency level, making new music and new sounds, changing the life of the dragonfly. We are in the dragonfly period. That's what 2026 is about. And that's why you see so much going on to distract us and to try to get you to think that it's all over, things are really bad, but actually you can't have bad without good. You can't have up without down. You can't have white without black. This is a beautiful time, y'all. While everybody's going off and fighting and arguing and having so much discord, we must take all that and all of our past and all those experiences and awaken to the new world and pump the fear and the judgment. And the biggest one is victimhood. Stop being a victim. Are you ready? Cleanse your body. Elevate your mind. Change something. If you'd like some help, call us. Call Dr. B. Come to one of our sessions. Or find someone. Go to the ocean. Go to the river. Go somewhere. So change can happen. A lot of folks are having this with the drum. Folks are calling me from all over now saying that the drum is changing them. It's bringing on their imaginal cells. Just by sitting the medicine drum in your room, just by listening to the tones, it causes a transmutation frequency change, a shift. It's a transducer, but it also is a rectifier. It also begins to change frequencies. So as we log off for today, just remember the sound of the drum. I'm going to play a little something on the drum as we go out. And remember you, the original you. Awaken yourself. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. What's eating you no longer has to eat you. Doesn't matter how powerful these beings are that have been attempting to control you. You must agree. Each time we sign, we redo the contract. We can break the spell. If you need help, I can help you, if that's what you desire. elevationtime.com. Go get on the email list. And remember, each one of us has the ability to become like the dragonfly. Realize that this may be the last chance, 2026, because when we hit 2027, everything has changed in the entire universe. We'll be in the new age. We'll be deep in the photon band. And right now is the great reckoning. So as we let our old selves go to sleep, wake up to the new vibration. Much love to you all. Much harmony. We can all reach the vibration of 500. Stay focused. Congratulate yourself, even with the small successes. Mind your business. Get out of the fast lane. Social media is sometimes a social meat eater, and it is carnivorous. It's watching your algorithm. It's reading everything that you are and what you could be. We're being devoured by the algorithms. Create your own. Be online only when you need to. Stop giving everything away to AI and to your friends and to your family. Go silent and play your drum. We have a couple drums that you can order right now so that you can have this experience. And you could use the discount code for anything on the website right now up until Sunday and get 15% off by using the code AWAKE26. Is my highest choice and our highest choice here at Elevation, that today, this message, this plasma, this message, this method is helping you transform yourself. And you could use this information to help yourself and others. Thank you very much for your time, your investment, your love. Let's be a part of the 10,000 people vibrating at 100, or 500, that creates change on the entire planet. Love yourself as much as I love you. elevationtime.com. elevationtime.com. I'm going to play a song that's going to come and bring inspiration, and you'll feel it in your heart. Focus on your heart and breathe as we move into the next plasma moment. Travel light. See you again soon. Much love. Much harmony. Dr. B. Sirius. Signing off.